Alright guys, this is Birch Bark Johnny here. Today we're going to load up some spent 410 shells. We're going to knock the primers out, put new ones in, and we're just going to use some paper wadding and recycle these 410 shells. These things are expensive. It's like 15 bucks for a box of 25, and I only use a handful of them a year for grouse hunting. So it probably wouldn't be too bad for me to just buy them, but I got a bunch of empty holes, so I'm going to load them up, shoot some grouse with. So first we're going to take this over here and put it on my press. Okay. Alright, there we go. You can see. Alright, we got the primer out of there. Now we're going to put it back in. Put another one back in, I should say. We're just going to push it in by hand a little bit. I'm just going to take a hammer and just tap it a little bit here. There we go. It's all primed. Now I'm going to put my powder charge in there. Okay. I'm not going to give any powder charges. I'm using smokeless powder. I'm using some published data. I have used black powder before doing this, which is really nice if you don't have any powder that'll work for 410. There's not a whole lot of powders that do work. There's not a lot of data available out there for 410 loading. Right here I've got some little over powder charge cards I just punched out of some plastic using a 40 Smith & Wesson casing. Not plastic, a little piece of cardboard. So I'm going to shove that down in there. And I'm just taking this pen and I'm going to shove it down in there, make sure it's nice and flat. Make sure it stays flat over the top of that charge, so I don't get any powder on top of my card. I'm just going to take a piece of toilet paper, cram it down in there just to make sure none of that stuff comes out. And so, no powder leakage. And then, I'm going to take and add as much shot as I can fill in here. The charge I put in there is for a ½ ounce of lead. I'm probably not going to quite get a ½ ounce in there in this 2.5 inch shell, which is fine because the lighter the load in general is more powder it can take. So, alright, well, I've got my shot in there. Don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of dark in there, but I've got roughly a ½ ounce in there. And so from here I've got a couple options. I can either put an overshot card and do a little roll crimp on it, and I'll show a video on how I made a homemade roll crimping jig. But on this one, since the original crimp's in good shape, I'm going to just try to fold it back in on itself. And actually I should probably use something like this, and I'll just fold each one of these little stars in, Try to duplicate that factory star crimp. If I can do that, I should be able to get it to fold in on itself pretty good. And it will look similar to a factory case. Just keep going around and working it. And then when I get fairly close, I like to just stick it down there. And I'll take this pen and mush it down a little bit in the center. This isn't the prettiest, but it's functional, and that's all I care. I just use these for whacking grouse. And it's just going into a chamber adapter, so there we are. All ready to put some grouse meat on the table. Like I said, you can use black powder or you could use smokeless, but if you use smokeless, you need to really be careful. Stick to the load data. Black powder is a little bit more forgiving. Obviously, you don't want to overcharge it, but as far as like having the right wads and all that stuff, smokeless is a little bit more temperamental with the pressure spikes. So it's something to bear in mind. Do this at your own risk. I accept, as always, full responsibility for all my reloading antics, and you should too. This is Birch Bark Johnny. I'll catch you guys later.